Hey, my happy shiny puppies. This is Melody Fletcher, author of Deliberate Receiving. Finally, the universe makes some freaking sense. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking once again about Ascension. This is about the fourth video that I've done on the Ascension series and probably the last one for a while. This all has to do with the insights that I received in my last trip to Peru. And there will be many, many more coming in the next few weeks. But this little first series gives you a taster of what's to come and is going to set you up for the rest of the year. So in today's video, I would like to talk to you about the symptoms of Ascension, some of those pesky symptoms that you might be experiencing and that might be causing you to freak out a little bit because you don't understand what's going on. And it's my hope that once you do understand what's going on, you won't freak out anymore and you'll be able to just kind of let it happen and maybe even enjoy some of it. Okay? Now, again, these are not symptoms that you will necessarily experience. These could be, you could have one of these, you could be having them, you could experience none of them. This is a very personal, unique journey. So I'm going to tell you about some of the symptoms that I've had, some of the people that I know have had, some of the, conversations that I've had over the last few years, actually. So don't worry about them hitting you all at once if they're going to hit you at all. This is more a video to kind of help you understand what might be going on with you right now as it's happening, because everything is sort of speeding up and more people are going through this process now, which means that more and more of you may be experiencing some of these. So the first and most common type of symptom that you may be experiencing is a physical purging type of symptom. And purging, when I say purging, I'm referring to symptoms where your body is getting rid of something in order to help it get rid of toxins or shift out negative energy that you may have shifted or that may be shifting out of your system. Purging, it doesn't have to be terrible, but it's not usually all that much fun. It can lead to diarrhea, you can have a fever, you can have flu-like symptoms. In fact, just recently I read the term Ascension flu because so many people are experiencing those types of symptoms. A lot of mucus kind of stuff coming out, a cough, mucusy kind of cough. Now, if you are experiencing these types of symptoms, of course, if you're suffering, go to the doctor. There's no shame in that. Don't be all, well, that's not spiritual, I shouldn't be using pharmaceuticals. If you're really suffering, go to the doctor. If you need antibiotics, take them. But understand that if you're having some kind of persistent symptom like this, or if it just kind of shows up for a day or two without any kind of explanation and then goes away, it may very well be this kind of Ascension symptom. So don't freak out. But if you are suffering like horribly, get it taken care of and get some help and get some relief, because remember, this whole journey is about feeling good. So don't suffer unnecessarily because you're trying to be a purist or something. The second type of symptom is also a physical symptom that almost everybody that I know is experiencing, and that is exhaustion. You can be going through periods of extreme exhaustion where you're just feeling really tired and you need more sleep than you normally need, maybe 10, 12 hours a night, and you're struggling to kind of get through the day a little bit. And I got to tell you, I experienced the exhaustion on a heavy, heavy level. In fact, 2015 was probably the hardest year physically that I've ever experienced. And I haven't really talked about this because I usually don't talk about things that are ongoing. I usually talk about them when I'm on the other side of them. But I dealt with quite a bit of exhaustion. Now, it wasn't constant. I had periods of quite a bit of energy. But on the whole, I had a lot lower energy than I normally do. I'm a very high energy person. And I sort of, the way that I dealt with it is that I took a lot of rest. I really made sure that I babied myself, that I slept a lot, that I took naps as much as possible, that I didn't push myself to do things when I wasn't feeling up to it, that I wasn't beating up on myself. And that helped a lot. So I just kind of surrendered to it as much as I could. The exhaustion has now gone. And that's not to say that periods of that might not come back. But it wasn't like an illness kind of exhaustion. It was just a real fatigue kind of exhaustion. And just about everybody that I know that is doing really sort of hardcore spiritual work is going through this at the moment or has gone through periods of it intermittently. So if that is happening to you, please don't worry. Again, this is not medical advice, disclaimer. Just consider that for the whole video. But if you are feeling that kind of exhaustion, do your best to be kind to yourself and rest as much as possible. It will pass. Understand that all of these symptoms that I'm talking about are temporary. They are a sign of a shift, of a change. So you're not going to always be experiencing this. This is not some kind of chronic condition. This is sort of you crossing the bridge. And while you're crossing the bridge, there are certain things that are going to be purging out of your system, certain things that are going to be shifting, and some of that is going to show up physically. So if it does, please don't worry too much about it. Do your best to be kind to yourself and to surrender to it and give yourself what you need. Now, another symptom that you may be experiencing is that time is changing and maybe losing all meaning. This has certainly happened to me. It's happened to quite a few people I know. And this is actually kind of a fun one. This is one of those that you can actually really start to enjoy if you're not freaking out about it. So what happens is those times when 10 minutes go by, but it seems like an hour, or conversely, an hour goes by, but it seems like 10 minutes, that could increase for you. It certainly has for me, where my relation to time or my perception of time really is completely out of whack. I have absolutely no idea how much time has gone by, generally ever. I don't have any kind of feel anymore for what time of day it is. I don't really care either, I'm finding. I'm living much, much more in the moment, which is what this comes from. It comes from living much, much more in the moment, where time doesn't really exist as we think it does. And that's why we can experience this time dilation in greater and greater and greater instances. So, and with greater intensity than ever before. So if this is happening to you and you're kind of wondering, like, how could time just have gone by so fast? Or how could that have only been 10 minutes that felt like 2 hours? And unfortunately, often in our world, it happens the opposite, where, you know, it feels like 10 minutes and then lots and lots of time has gone by and we're late. And if you find yourself not giving a crap about what time you're supposed to be somewhere, and it's all distorted a little bit for you, then understand that this is really just you shifting into a completely different energy and starting to shift into a dimension where time doesn't really exist the way that we think it is. So don't let that scare you. It will stabilize again, and you can actually have fun with this, because remember, you don't just have the ability to speed up time, meaning that, you know, 2 hours are gone suddenly. You also have the ability to slow down time, and you might want to play with that a little bit, where it seems like hours have gone by and you've been very, very productive, but only a little bit of time actually passed on the clock. So maybe play with that if that's happening to you. Part of this time issue is also that the time buffer that we have for manifestations, which has always meant that as you focus on something, you get the energy rolling, you start a progression of manifestation, which is a term from my book, Deliberate Receiving, of how manifestations come into physical reality. So you start a new progression of manifestation, you get some momentum going on, some energy, and from the time that you do that to the time that it manifests physically, that time buffer there has always been far longer than it is now. It is starting to get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, which means that manifestations are coming in faster and faster and faster. Now, that may mean that manifestations of your resistance, meaning your negative beliefs, your limiting beliefs is a more accurate term, stuff that's keeping you from what you want to manifest, are also manifesting faster and faster and faster, and are kind of pummeling you and slapping you in the face. And if that's happening, it means that you are leveling up, and do your best to shift those beliefs one at a time, get through it, but it can be happening faster. The good side of that same coin is that positive manifestations are also happening faster, which allows you to see the correlation between the work that you're doing and what's showing up in your reality so much more easily, which again shores up your belief that this shit's actually real and it actually does work, which it does, which is one of the most common things I hear from my clients is, oh my God, Melody, this shit actually works. Because it does. Lives change when you start to apply these methods. So as you're stepping into higher and higher vibrations, again, you're going to see manifestations coming in faster, both manifestations of resistance, but also manifestations of awesomeness. So never forget about the manifestations of awesomeness. Don't get so caught up. A lot of you are so intellectual. You get so caught up in doing the work that you forget about the point of all this, which is to have fun. One of the other symptoms you may be experiencing is that you may be noticing some rather drastic or possibly subtle changes to your diet or your habits. You may be drawn to completely different foods. You may no longer be drawn to foods that were your favorites before, and now you just don't really want them anymore, and you're wondering what is happening. Well, your body is going through an enormous amount of change at the moment. Again, because this can bring up some physical symptoms as well, as I talked about at the top of the video, and it's going to tell you what it needs. So the best thing that you can do is you can listen to it, and what you need may change, and it may change again and again and again and again. So the best thing that you can do is not to get too caught up in which diet should I be eating. Should I be eating meat? Should I not be eating meat? Should I be eating carbohydrates? Should I not be eating carbohydrates? Should I be having a green smoothie every day or not? And what it really comes down to is listening to your body in the moment, always listening to yourself in the moment, and just reacting to that. So if you want meat today, go ahead and have meat today. If tomorrow you want to eat vegan. But don't be so rigid about creating rules around it. Listen to what your body is telling you in every moment. It may very well change. Now, habits may also go out. You may stop drinking alcohol. You may simply reduce your alcohol intake. You may stop smoking. You may start smoking. You may, notice that certain habits, exercise, for example, your exercise habits may change. If you're used to being a person who really pushes themselves at the gym and kind of punishes themselves at the gym, you may find that you no longer have any kind of interest in that, and you'd rather do yoga instead. So again, try not to judge so much what's going on with you. Just kind of be gentle with yourself and go with it. And a lot of this is going to cultivate in you being much more gentle in yourself, and also benefit from you being much more gentle with yourself. So the next to last symptom I want to talk about is one that can scare people quite a bit when it happens. So if it's happening to you, please don't freak out. It's something that you can definitely learn to deal with, and it is definitely a temporary symptom, and that is the symptom of disorientation. It is possible at times to become disoriented, sometimes just slightly, but if you're a person who still harbors a fear, for example, of going insane, which people do have en masse, then this is a symptom that can bring up quite a bit of fear. Not necessarily. I tend to enjoy my disorientation. So, what it may happen is that you kind of lose track of what you're about to say. The instances of walking into a room and not realizing why the hell you're in there may, become more numerous. You may forget mid-sentence what you were talking about. You may forget some appointments. You may, again, tying into the time thing, you may forget appointments, what time they are, and completely lose track of time. You may, find yourself wandering down a street that you don't remember making the decision to wander down, but as you were daydreaming, you just took a turn that you have never taken before. And you're kind of wondering, this isn't my habit. Why would I walk down the street? So if things like that are happening to you, then just understand that this is, once again, it's a symptom of you shifting into a different reality, one where the physical world doesn't have the same meaning, doesn't have the same importance, and doesn't have the same pull that you grew up with. And so some of that can be a little bit disorienting. So again, if you're completely losing your mind, maybe go to the doctor, get yourself checked out. But for the most part, if you're just having these sort of little glitches, don't freak out, and understand that they may very well be symptoms of Ascension. The last symptom that I'd like to talk to you about, symptom of Ascension, is that your life may drastically change. Friends, jobs, acquaintances, stuff may gravitate out, which can be kind of alarming to some people. They think, wow, I'm losing all of my friends, and or my job, I'm getting downsized in my job, or I'm being pulled into a field that I've never gone into, and that scares me, or they may be inspired to move to a completely different state, like me. And that can be a little bit scary, because you're wondering, what's going to happen? This is the unknown. Am I ever going to make friends again? Am I going to like this new place? Am I ever going to get another job? And here's the thing, all that's happening is this stuff is gravitating out to make room for new friends, new house, new place, new job. And those things, and this is the big important thing that's going to kill the fear around this, are going to be better than what left, because you're leveling up. You're not leveling down. And so that means that when these kinds of things gravitate out, if you don't freak out about that, and you stay open and have a positive general expectation about things improving as they come in, then you're not going to slow down that process. And before you know it, you're going to have a completely new life. One of the things that I always find so funny is that when I work with people, they tell me all the things in their life that they want to change. And so then we start to apply these methods, and then their lives start to change. And then the next phone call I get is, oh my God, Melody, I'm freaking out because my life is changing. I think that's so funny. You want change, but you freak out when your life starts to change. And here's why, because we're so afraid of change because we have this assumption that change is going to be bad. It's going to be negative. It can't possibly be as good or even better. So I want you to kind of work on that. I would, advise you to work on that you start to deliberately choose to see change as, well, what if it's better? You can soften it. You don't have to just accept that it's going to be better. But what if it actually is better? Just ponder that for a minute or two. More than 15 seconds so that you get some energy going. Yeah, don't stop after 15 seconds. Go for a full minute or two, but ponder that. What if the changes that are happening in my life are actually going to bring in more awesome? Because that's exactly what's happening, and that is open to you as long as you stay open to it. So I hope that I dispelled some of your fears around some of the things that may be happening to you. Again, please don't take it as this is definitely all going to happen to you as you go through the ascension process. None of these things may apply to you, or they may happen in different degrees, or other things may be happening that I didn't mention here. I gave you the top ones that I've experienced and that I've talked with other people who are going through this process who've experienced these things. So these are the things that I have personal experience with and that I could talk knowledgeably about. If you're experiencing other symptoms, then go ahead and leave a comment below and maybe share your own experience so other people can benefit from that. And go ahead and give me a reaction, a thumbs up, a thumbs down on YouTube, any kind of reaction so that this becomes a two-way conversation. I really appreciate it. If you want more information, more content like this, then please come to deliberatereceiving.com, where my tribe, the Happy Shiny Puppy Army, is waiting for you to sign up and join them and talk with you about, these topics. So if you don't have anybody to talk with about these things, then that's where the tribe is, and that's where you can have that conversation. This has been Melody Fletcher, author of Deliberate Receiving. Finally, the universe makes some freaking sense, and I will see you guys next week.